This is Top Accolade African News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackarich. South Africa's ANC plans to form a government of national unity. South Africa's African National Congress will invite other political parties to form a national unity government, its leader, President Cyril Ramaphosa, said after it lost its majority for the first time in the democratic era. The former liberation movement, once led by Nelson Mandela, has run South Africa since it swept to power in 1994 election that marked the end of white minority rule, but it was punished for its checkered record in last week's vote. After a day-long meeting of the party's National Executive Committee in Johannesburg, Ramaphosa said the ANC had decided that a broad collaboration with other political forces was the best option to move our country forward. Despite its worst ever showing in the May 29th vote, the ANC remains the country's largest party and will control 159 of the 400 seats in the new National Assembly. The election outcome has created a complex situation for Ramaphosa and his party. The ANC's nearest rivals are the pro-business white-led Democratic Alliance (DA) with 87 seats, the populist Umkhonto weSizwe MK led by former President Jacob Zuma with 58, and the hard-left Economic Freedom Fighters EFF with 39. The new parliament has to convene within 2 weeks of Sunday's result declaration, and one of its first acts must be to elect the president. The constitutional deadline will fall on or near June 16, is putting pressure on the ANC and others to reach an agreement quickly. A prosecutor in Benin said authorities had detained on Wednesday 5 Niger nationals for allegedly entering Benin's Seme-Podjij pipeline terminal under false pretenses, deepening a dispute over export of crude oil from Niger via Benin. In a statement, Special Prosecutors Mario Mentono said the group had entered the terminal clandestinely and accused at least 2 of the detainees of being agents of Niger's ruling military junta. Niger's oil minister, Mohamed Mustafa Bako, rejected the prosecutor's allegations, telling a press conference in Niamey that those arrested were inspectors supervising the loading of crude oil in line with an agreement with Benin. Relations between the West African neighbors have been strained since Benin blocked crude exports via its ports from landlocked Niger in May, demanding junta will open its border to Benin's goods and normalize relations between shipments can start. On May 15th, Benin provincially reversed the export block and agreed to hold a meeting between the two countries, but a long-term solution has not yet been agreed. Benin's crude blockade jeopardized Niger's plan to start exports from its Agadem oil field via the pipeline under a memorandum of understanding with Chinese state-owned oil giant China National Petroleum Corp (CNPC) worth $400 million. Sudan's army said it would deliver a harsh response to an attack a day earlier on a village by the Sudanese paramilitary rapid support forces that pro-democracy activists said killed more than 100 people. The attack was the largest in a string of dozens of attacks by RSF soldiers on small villages across the farming states after it took control of the capital, Wad Madani, in December. Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan's statement followed accusations by the local activists that the army did not respond to plea for help. The army did not reply to a request for comment. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned the attack, said UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric. The top UN official in Sudan called for an investigation into the attack in Wad al-Noura village in Gizera state in central Sudan. Even by the tragic standards of Sudan's conflict, the images emerging from Wad al-Noura are heartbreaking, said UN humanitarian coordinator Clementine Inkweta Salami in a statement. She cited photos shared on social media by the Wad Madani Resistance Committee, which has been tracking such attacks, showing what it described as dozens of victims wrapped for burial. Nigeria will likely spend 5.4 trillion naira, that is $3.7 billion in 2024, 50% more than in 2023, to keep petrol prices fixed while borrowing an extra 6.6 trillion naira to plug gaps in its budget. A draft document seen the Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, drafted by the Finance Ministry with private sector executives and some economists, aims to address challenges related to reforms aimed at boosting growth. President Bola Tinubu last May asked a popular but costly subsidy on petrol in a landmark reform shared by investors to try to kickstart growth But the move caused petrol prices to triple, increased transport costs and stocked inflation, angering motorists. Tinubu has faced pressure from labor unions over the rising cost of living due to his reforms, but he has vowed not to roll them back. Since July last year, petrol prices have been fixed despite two currency devaluations. The country has relied on imports of petroleum products for years because state-owned refineries produce hardly any of them. Nigeria's economy has been stuck in low gear, with growth of around 3%, far short of the 6% annual expansion Tinubu targeted when he came to power last year. In its policy documents, the ministry proposes that the government sell equity in its refineries by May 2026, increase the excise duty on beverages, and introduce a tax on single-use plastics and unsweetened beverages to raise funds. That is the size of top accolade African news update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Friday.